excited to have yet another guest here, Division I men's soccer. This time we're joined by John O'Reilly. The Green Bay Phoenix calls the Horizon League their home, and he is in his second season at the helm here as the head coach. And John, welcome in here to Inside the Game.
Thank you guys for having me.
Well, no, absolutely. First off, you're in your second season off of a remarkable one last year, 11-7-2 overall, making your way all the way to a semifinal where ultimately you fell to Oakland University, have a chance for a rematch coming up here on October the 4th. We'll get into that in a little bit. But talk about that first season. And I know that you weren't first year at the program. You came in as an assistant back in 2015. But it's one of those things where you start taking over this new job. There's some learning curves, and I'm curious how that impacted you in year one, even with the success.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I get asked about this, one of the things I have to reflect on too is this: I took over a Horizon League Championship 2023 NCAA Tournament team, so I'm very lucky. Right? Most times your first head coaching job, you're taking over something something happened, something broken, there has been success. So, it allowed me to kind of hit the ground running as far as, obviously I was with the team. So in 2023, and then when I took over in February-ish, 2024, I was able to kind of put my mark on the program, but I didn't have to completely rebuild. I didn't have to start from the ground up or anything like that. So, as far as my progression as a head coach, I was very lucky as far as where I was able to start.
Yeah, it's a great point, and we talk about this a lot. I've had a chance to talk with coaches over the years who have taken over programs and maybe had only 2 or 3 coaches in their history, right? And so and we talk about rebuilding and reloading and all that kind of stuff. But this is you think about the program as a whole, already on a good path, right? You look back a number of years, had some success here in the last 4 or 5 years. And so now it's not so much about maybe reinventing the wheel, but maybe just evolving it, right? And that's probably a big challenge as a new head coach, right? Because you're like, hey, I want to put my mark on this program, but at the same time, it's already got a really good path. So how do I do that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that was probably it's funny, right? Usually your first head coaching job, your biggest headache is who's on the team? Where are my recruits? Where do I even go? Stuff like that. So I didn't have those issues, but the issues were I'd been here for a long time. We'd had success with the previous head coach, who's a good friend of mine, and we're still having success in Northeastern. But I did want to make it my own. I have a little different view than him on certain things, on playing style and things like that. So it was kind of the questions that I was asking myself in my head is do I just keep doing what we were doing, which was a little kind of, and if you look at our results this year, it's very defensive minded, but very defensive minded, kind of risk averse, or do we evolve and start playing a little bit more and building out of the back and doing all these things that I'm seeing at the high youth levels and the professional level. And that was probably the big question that I had to ask myself is am I crazy? I could just do exactly what we did last year, probably finish second or third in the Horizon League, have a chance to win it, or am I gonna kind of play my style? And I think that was something that was probably the more difficult dilemma in my head as I took over.
And obviously, based on success last year and historic, we always talk about preseason. Preseason rankings are based on historical data, right? We always say it's what you did last year.
People were congratulating me for getting picked first in the Horizon League. I'm like, okay, sure, yes.
Well, I mean,
I like that though.
It is an honor on some level, right? Because the coaches as a whole, right, are coming together and saying, "Hey, this is who we think's going to win this thing or has the best chance." Obviously, Oakland has won it a number of times in the last couple of years, and so you look at that, and they're right there, kind of in the mix again this season. We're only 1 game in the Horizon League, so it's not like we're going to sit here and go, "Holy cow!" But we are going to look at the standings here right now. They'll put them up on our screen. And I think it's always important to talk about it, right? But here they are, right? One game in, this is what this is going to look like right now.
It'll look like this for probably 4 or 5 weeks, where it's everybody's got a shot. It's it's the beauty of the Horizon League. It's it's usually 1 or 2 teams pull away, and then that middle group, I think last year was down to the last day. I think one team might have been out last year on the last day, so it's fun. It makes it fun.
You had mentioned you're a defensive-minded coach. Obviously, you come from an All-American, right? You were an NCAA first-team All-American, right, at Lehigh University, Patriot League Defensive Player of the Year, Team MVP, all-time, 2-time All-Region honor roll. right? So he's got obviously some success as a player, and obviously you bring that success in.
Shout out.
We talked about this in kind of like our pre-show conversation about how right now your team, right, has had 3 shutouts, only allowing 3 goals here so far in the early going of this season. I think you said last year you might have only had a couple shutouts. So
yeah,
something working here this season.
My assistant literally said to me, "I think we have more shutouts this year than last year." Like I didn't look. I'm not like a big like historical data guy. I mean, I'm big into Y Scout and all that data, but I'm not like comparing every game to last year and kind of seeing where we're at. But yeah, I mean, we play an open style of soccer, so like we do give up chances. I do think like the way the games have played out early have led to maybe less goals for us and also less goals for the opponent. We put in some tough places to play. Western Illinois is a tough place to play. Even Southern Indiana is a little bit of a tough place to play. So, we're definitely hoping to start scoring some more goals. But yeah, the shutouts, are something that are extremely important in all levels of soccer, especially in college. If you can keep the ball out of the back of the net, you're going to have success. That's been my joke when everyone's like, "Oh, how are you doing so well?" I'm like, well, if you give up a goal, like it's really hard to lose. So we're doing all right.
No, absolutely. By the way, I did just confirm you did have 2 shutouts last season in total.
So there we go.
Already surpassed.
Broke the record. Yeah, all right.
So I know that Ryan has a question. I want to get this one question in here as well before he pops one in. Philosophically, the way that this world is in regards to college soccer, it's completely changed, right? We've talked with coaches all across the spectrum. We've talked to Wake Forest's head coach and NC State's head coach and Damon Rensing over at Michigan State. We've had a great conversation about the dynamic right now that's at play in men's soccer and in college soccer as a whole.
Yeah.
And in your second year, what are you finding is right now with that new dynamic, with roster management, with the transfer portal? What are you finding as like your biggest obstacle right now in that whole process?
That's a good question. I think like the interesting thing about the current landscape of college soccer is like more so like where are we going? Are we a development league? Are we thinking of ourselves as we're trying to develop players to play professionally, or are we as a whole just trying to take 23, 24, 25-year-old European guys and enter them into the college landscape? And, I think that's probably the hardest. It's not hard for me because I know where I fall on that. But, as far as long-term success and what you want to get out of your program, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to have success. Everybody wants to, for us, it's like that success in the Horizon League. How do we make that success outside of the Horizon League? Can we start to push into some of these? We're usually in the regional rankings, but can we start to make a push to make appearances in the national rankings and kind of be on the national scene? So that's kind of where we want to go. And it's just hard because it's like, an 18-year-old is going to struggle against a 24 or 25-year-old. It's just the reality. So I think college soccer as a whole has some decisions to make about where we are, where we want to go, and kind of what growth where we want to be in the development landscape and where we see ourselves fitting as opposed to, some of these. I love the success of Vermont, but it's a bunch of 24, 25-year-olds, and older. I think they have 26-year-old. So I don't know if that's what college soccer was created for.
No, actually, it's a great point because I was just going to ask this question too. Because as a follow-up, is that how does a Green Bay Phoenix, an Oakland University, a Cleveland State fight for a national championship, right? Because let's be honest, winning league titles and winning the Horizon League is great, but the ultimate goal is to get into the NCAA tournament and give yourself a chance to go further. We're seeing that with like Western Michigan, for example, which is not in a Power 5 conference, right? They're in a lower conference, and they've had success consistently over the last 5 years. How does a Green Bay Phoenix kind of fit themselves into that situation as well?
Yeah, I think that's the hard part, right? When you start that, kind of what I was sort of posing in my sort of question or answer, whatever I just did, is do you want to lean into the, because you can go into D2, you can go into JUCO, you can go into NAI, you can go into the international market, and you can find 24, 25-year-olds. Anybody can do it. You can get like an NAI guy who was old when he started and he has maybe 1 year left and he's older when he plays. And, I think for us, the hard part is like, I'm very much a believer in college soccer being a development tool. And that typically means, the average age on our team is going to be, we're going to have 18 to 22-year-olds. Obviously, like every once in a while, you get an older guy. We have a guy who's 24 who like has a red shirt and a COVID year. So he's just like technically in his 6th year, but he's an American kid. He's not, he didn't come over here for grad school after playing professional, semi-pro, or I want to say I don't want to get myself in trouble. But yeah, I think that's like the hard push. And I spent some time at Georgetown. I mean, I feel like their success in the last few years has just been limited by the fact that they're running into teams that are older. It's not, they're still getting top domestic players. But, and I still talk to Brian, and that's sort of seems to be his takeaway. It's like, it's really hard to beat a team that's significantly older than you. And so for us, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I guess my answer is like, I don't know. Like, hopefully we get really good domestic guys that stay for 4 years, right? And they, and if they're a group of 8 or like we have now, we're an older group of 20, 21, 22-year-old 4-year college players. If you kind of hit it right and get those guys that are there for 4 years, then maybe you can make a little bit of a run. I can't hear right now.
Sorry, I have on mute. You're all good. That's
yeah. I was like, whoa.
The producer and the audio guy had his mic muted. That's not good.
We had technical difficulties.
You should head out west. Is what you should do, Ryan.
Did my phone turn on? Did I open my AirPods? Like, what's going on?
No, you are all good. That is completely on me. But my question is you've been at Green Bay for about a decade or so as assistant, associate, and now head coach, and kind of in a day and age of, college sports, college athletics, even pro athletics. People kind of leave after 1 year, 2 years max. What kind of made you stay at Green Bay and climb the ranks, the ladder, the coaching ranks to eventually get to a head coaching gig at the same spot you were as an assistant coach 10 years prior?
Yeah, you want the soccer answer or like the life answer?
Oh, whichever one you want.
It's my ultimately like, so I moved here in 2015. I met my wife like 6 months after I moved here. So ultimately, like when I came here, I thought this would be 2 to 3 year project. Jeremy Bonomo was a really good friend of mine. We grew up together. It was his first Division I head coaching job. He obviously knew we were taking over a program that had success, but had been through some tough couple of years. Actually, the crazy story here is Tom Poitras was Jeremy Bonomo's college head coach. He had a ton of success at Green Bay, like 2002 to 2010. Then after he left, it was just like up and down, and it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just coaches were not here for very long. And so it was a fun project for me to be involved in, kind of like knowing it's like, you're kind of completely rebuilding. But, we'd had conversations about before I moved here. I mean, I'd never even been to Wisconsin before I took this job. So, we said 2 to 3 years and then kind of move on. But yeah, I mean, life-wise, I met my wife here. We have a family here. Her family's here. There was a lot of like outside of soccer things that influenced my decision. And obviously, working with someone that you were friends with before you worked together was really fun. It was a fun project, even as an assistant. I felt, the growth was good. I enjoyed my time here, and my wife and I kind of talked about, would we want to bounce around? And obviously, I could have done that if I wanted to, but we just kind of ultimately decided like this is where we want to be, and I was willing to kind of put in the time and wait. Jeremy and I had a good enough relationship that we spoke a lot about that stuff. Like like I said, he's also an East Coast guy, so he ultimately had, and his wife is also from the East Coast, so he had ambition to get back to the East Coast, for a long time. So there was that. If he had said, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life, I might have had to make some different decisions, but that was kind of always hanging out there. And so that kind of allowed me to persevere and kind of stick with it.
Yeah, and then my last question for you is, I've been looking at the last couple of years of schedules, and this one thing pops out to me. What is Socktoberfest? You have it scheduled for October 25th against Wright State. Kind of want to go to it, just if you can, if this is what I think it is.
Go to Creighton's. Don't go. I mean, ours is okay, but Creighton's is out of control. So basically, it's like, and if you follow Bayern Munich, like they do a big thing with Oktoberfest in soccer. There's a pretty heavy German influence in Green Bay. Maybe I don't know if it's Creighton or Xavier. It might be Xavier that does a crazy one. But so Jeremy spent some time at Cincinnati. He had learned about it. I think it might actually be Xavier. Now that I'm thinking about it, and it's just supposed to just be like a, German soccer style celebration. I mean, ours has been kind of up and down. One year we had a polka band, which was pretty funny, but it's just supposed to be like, beers in the parking lot, pretzels, stuff like that, and
That sounds fun.
a little fun, and yeah, just kind of adding a little bit of fun to what otherwise would be like a regular home game.
That's awesome. I want to go to those. I still want to go.
Yeah, there's a few. We're not the only ones that do it, so don't act like we were the originator of Socktoberfest. But yeah, there's a few schools that do it, and a few schools that have grown it pretty well. I mean, ours, we're trying to get there, but I think it's a fun thing. Like, yeah, we have, like I said, the Green Bay area is like got a little bit of German, a little bit of Scandinavian influence. So kind of leaning into that Oktoberfest theme was a pretty easy thing for us to do.
And it's a great thing. Here, I don't know if you knew this or not, but here in Michigan, we have a great German town called Frankenmuth, where
I've heard of it.
They have the world's best chicken. Now, I mean,
and the biggest Christmas store of all time.
That is correct.
Yeah, it's a crazy Christmas town too, right?
Yeah, yes. Bronner's Winter Wonderland or Christmas Wonderland. Yeah, it's like
despite my last name, I'm actually technically like more. My heritage is closer to the German side. My mom was German, my dad's Irish, but my mom's dad is from Germany. So like we're like, and my Irish side, it's like whatever. We came over how long time ago.
So. Which is we have two. I have two last questions. The last one is probably the most difficult question you're going to be asked, probably of the day. But this first one is: if there was one word to describe this team, what would it be?
Oh man, I don't think I can do it in one word, but we're kind of like, I think what we like to consider ourselves is like, we're blue collar, we're hardworking, but we play a good style as well. So we try to do a little bit of both where, we're a pressing team, but we're a building team, right? Possessions is extremely important to us. Having the ball is really important to us, but it's not like it's just some kind of like softer sided, pretty soccer is all we got. Like we still value, getting in on tackles, winning 50-50 balls, scoring dirty goals, like stuff like that. That I think that's kind of like a good way to encapsulate our team.
Fantastic. You mentioned here a moment ago that you are maybe Irish and German. So
yes.
And so this next question is a food-related question. I said it's the toughest one of the day. All right. Now, you guys go on these road trips. You're coming here to Detroit actually this weekend, and I got in the bus. You're gonna go back home. You're gonna go back to Green Bay. And I know that Green Bay and Wisconsin is known for its cheese, so I'm hoping that that's not going to be your answer here. But is there a place when you get off that bus, you're like, I got to go eat here? It could be your house, and you can have home-cooked food, but, we're looking to find out, where are you going as soon as you get off that bus to grab that meal?
I mean, I'll give you like two answers. Like probably pre-kids, it would be, like Wisconsin has like a really fun kind of like bar culture. So there's a lot of places with really good like burgers and cheese curds and stuff like that. So I would say, Detroit, we're going to get back at like midnight. So either way, if I had kids or not, I'd probably be going home. But, let's just say it wasn't late. I'd probably, before kids, my wife and I would just go to one of our local kind of tavern spots, have a couple drinks to get some food. It depends. We've moved around a little bit, but initially there was a couple places we were downtown that we would frequent, and then we moved to another place. We had a really good restaurant when it closed down that we would go to, and now it's straight home. If the sun's still up, it's grabbing the two kids from my wife and giving her a break and eat whatever, maybe a little takeout from Culver's or. I'm trying to think the other places that we like to order from. There's a couple good Indian places, so I would say now it's grab the kids, give my wife a break, and see what our options are and grow up.
Very cool, very cool. Well, we appreciate you stopping by here this morning, John, and we obviously wish you and Green Bay Phoenix much success here. Obviously, you're currently 1-0 in the Rise League, 3-2 overall, on your way here to hopefully more success this season.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
You're very, very welcome. When we come back here on Inside the Game, we'll dive into what happened here yesterday in the U.S. Open Cup, as well as talk top 25 rankings here, both men's and